Hello YouTubers and welcome to Mud Max Metal Detecting. Right, let's get out in the field, shall we, and have a look at my last detecting trip. And then after that, I'm going to do some air tests. Yes, that's right, air tests. Those things that a lot of people say are a complete waste of time. Well, I've been doing some air tests and I can tell you that some of them are definitely not a complete waste of time. So if you're fairly new to the hobby, you might find this interesting. I'll bring the camera down, we'll go nice and close. You'll be able to see what this does. And one thing I will say is the air tests I'm going to do will apply to all detectors. So first of all, let's go out into the field and see what I found the last time I went out, and then we'll do the air tests. Let's get stuck in.
Well, this was a bit of a horrible sound when it was down there. I thought it was going to be another shallow piece of trash. I've had loads of them, but now it's a pure 80s target, so I've really got my fingers crossed for a coin. I don't think so. Yeah, that's it. I think it's a... oh, I don't know though. I'll clean this up. It might have some decoration on it. Really not sure what it is at the minute. Well, I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. It feels a bit too thin, too pliable to be old, but it's got a kind of crude design. I don't know, 50-50. It's not silver, so it's too light, so that's why I think it's modern junk. But yeah, a knobbly bit. I found a knobbly bit, but I don't think it's anything to write home about. Well, that was a very, very deep square of lead. Nothing on it. But it is good to know I'm getting depth today, because I've not often been over here when I can get good depth. So fingers firmly crossed I pull something out that my coil hasn't got before. Okay, it's not very often I turn a camera on for a button, and at first I thought I'd got myself a nice coin, but what a shank. So I thought I'd push the earth off and we'll have a look together, because as I understand it, a shank like that only means one thing: age. In fact, wow, is that a shank? Must be. It's corroded. What on earth? What on earth is that? It's got to be a button. I guess it must be corroded, and there was a hole there once. Well, I've never seen anything quite like that. I'll have to do some stills for you, I think, folks. That is bizarre. Okay, Deus users, what are your numbers on ring pulls? Because I thought that they were lower than the 70s, but that was in the 70s. So yeah, if you're in America and you notch out pull tabs, you might be interested to know that that one was about 72. And I thought that was a flipping coin all day long. Ah! I kid you not, folks, the very next hole, a couple of feet from where I had the round bit of the ring pull, I now have the beaver tail. Ah, how lovely. And I don't know if you can read that, but it's a rather well-known drinks brand. Ah, now it is complete. I can stick it on eBay. Okay, 86 on the numbers, super tone and very, very round. If this isn't a coin, I'm gonna cry. Ugh. I think it is, but is it old? And more to the point. Oh no, it is definitely a coin. I'll give it a clean and we'll have a look. Ah, it's always nice to get something round out the ground. Well, I don't know how much you can see on that because it's flipping dirty. Oh yeah, you can see him, can't you? So, George V. Good afternoon, Your Highness. Thanks for coming out. Very, very mucky old coin. It's going to take some serious cleaning. But it is what it is. And it's a coin. And we're always grateful of those, aren't we? Ah. Yes. Don't think it's old. Got a bit of a groove halfway down, slotted into something, but that's a mystery thingy for me. because I have no idea what that little thingy is. Answers on a postcard, please. Okay, I hope you can see that in this glaring sunlight. It's really hard to film today, so apologies if my hands are all shiny, but yeah, it's a nightmare. That's an edge. That's a skinny edge. Look at that. Ah, yes, you can see it there, look. Shall we have a look together, folks? I stopped to put the camera on. I thought, yep, just in case, I'll unveil it with the gang, because that's what I like to do. Ooh. You don't want to know, folks. You really don't want to know, because I think that's a broken piece of shotgun cartridge. Ah, that really is cruel. Okay, folks, look how crude this is. Pretty sure it's a spindle ball. Big old hole on the bottom. It's that shape, look. It's the shape that gives them away. That flying saucer, ooh, kind of shape. But no, that's not what it is. It's lead, and it's rough. And yeah, I think that's an early crude spindle ball. And it's very nice too. It's the kind of history that I was hoping for. So I'm really pleased with that. Okay, quickly putting the camera on, because that is one big beastie of a reeded edge, and that has got to be a big coin. That can't be anything else. So camera on very quickly. Let's pick away, shall we? Oh, what have we got? Oh, this is a bit smaller than I thought it was. It might be modern, that being the case. It's got a lot of earth jammed on it. Please don't be modern. Oh, my expectation is going down with every pick and scratch. Right, let me clean it up and let's have a look at exactly what I have got. Good afternoon, Your Highness. George the 6th, and I'm over the moon with this because I didn't even know it existed. It's a 2-shilling coin. A 2-shilling coin? Obviously it existed because it's got 2 shillings written on it. But it doesn't appear to have a date. But it's King George the 6th. It's a big old chunky thing. I mean, the numbers are 91 on the tones. It's a George the 6th 2 shilling. I'll clean it up and I'll put a still. It had some, I don't know whether it's the metals in it or what, or the manure from the horses, but it was absolutely glued with gunk and it needs a jolly good wash. But yes, good afternoon, Your Highness. It's late in the day and that was an unexpected, I say expected, an unexpected, yeah, surprise. 2 shillings. Well, that was the last thing I expected to get, based on the fact that I didn't even know there was such a thing. Okay, the sun's going down, much easier for filming, and it wouldn't be a day out without a ball of death. And this ball of death has a flat side, so I've got a feeling that this ball of death did exactly what it was designed to do.
Well, how about that then? I didn't know that a florin was 2 shillings. I've heard of a florin, it was a bucket lister, but I didn't know a florin was 2 shillings. It just goes to show no matter how long you've been in the hobby, you can miss little bits of info, certain things you don't pick up on. Right, let's do those air tests, shall we? I want to show you why I think that they're not a waste of time and why you can learn something. I'll bring the camera down, we'll set it all up, and then I'll show you a few objects, artifacts, coins and things, and make of it what you will, really. Let's get stuck into that. Okay, so let's have a look at why I think air tests can prove valuable. Now, don't worry about this being a Deus, because this is about whatever detector you've got doing different tests to see how your machine reacts and to learn about metal detectors. So I'm going to start with something really simple. There's not a lot of difference in this one, but this is a thimble. If I hold it the right way up, lovely and clean and stable. Now, if I swing it with the whole of the thimble facing the coil, the
tones are jumbling between the mid-tone and the high tone, and the numbers are bouncing all over the place. It's exactly the same thing. It's just at a slightly different angle. You play around with stuff like this, you learn how your machine reacts. Now, this is an interesting one. This is a Saxon strap end, which I very carefully put a paper clip on. Now, watch what happens when I wave it that way with the paper clip lengthways and the Saxon strap end vertical. Nearly said horizontal, vertical. Little spit. If I turn it ever so slightly, would you stop for that in the field? So what if you went over it and it was lying like that, with the strap end horizontal and the safety clip vertical? Obviously it wouldn't have a paper clip, beg your pardon, it wouldn't have a paper clip in the field, but it could have iron around it. That's the same two objects, just at a different angle. So this is the kind of stuff you learn when you play around. So if you're in the field and you get something a bit spitty like that, just trying to get the angle to show my point. If you just get the odd thing like that, why not walk around and attack it from another angle? And see if that happens. Here's a crotal bell. This crotal bell's got a really nasty split in it. It's actually supposed to be there, but it's been widened. I think it's been slightly damaged. And of course it's got an INP. Now watch what happens to that when I move it around. Perfect signal on a flat edge. Now I'm going to start moving it around. Look at that. Is that big iron? So you move around in the field and get a different angle. And there's your crotal bell. So if you play around like this at home and you see how shapes change signals and things like that, like this big old copper penny shrouded in a large paper clip. So this is just resembling iron around a target. Absolutely nothing. Drop it that way. There's no magic tricks going on here. You can see the setup. I'm not changing anything. That way, that paper clip is too strong. It's too much iron. It's being cut out. Drop it that way. And your target takes over. So if that's laying at a certain angle, where you get a little bit every now and again, and you move around slightly, so if you get spitty signals and signals that just give you a little bit, don't just walk over them, just turn slightly, come at it from another angle, see if it gets better, because this is how shapes react in the earth. And there are some targets that don't even need to be contaminated. They can just be weaker by their angle, and moving can bring them alive a little bit more. But certainly things that are broken, might have little INPs in them. You can get some really awkward, bad angles. And you can get some perfect angles. So playing around like this at home, putting iron near some of your targets, all kinds of things you can do, all kinds of broken artifacts. Split pins are really good, any circular object that's got a break in it. But playing around like this and learning helps you understand that some of those ugly targets in the field, you shouldn't walk away from them. They might not be just nasty iron. You might just need to change your angle. Let's get this just how I want it. There we go, just coming through. Walk around the other way. And I found my Saxon strap end. So yeah, these are the kind of things I think you should do with your metal detector. And you can play around with the discrimination. You can play around with all kinds of things in here. See if it makes a difference on certain targets. See if it enhances them. See if it makes the signal more optimistic.
But when you play around like this at home, you can really learn about a lot about how detectors react to shapes and targets and things that might be masked by rubbish in the ground. And you can start playing around and seeing if there's anything you can do with your machine to suit the fields that you go on a little bit more. But this kind of stuff can really, really teach you a lot about shapes, targets, and how things can get masked. Give it a go, see what you think. Okay folks, so there we go. I found that really, really interesting, and I hope you did too. I think some air tests don't teach us a lot, like depth. They can show, you know, a bit of a difference between two certain coils, but obviously they're all going to react different in the ground. Same with speeds and numbers. They all change with the earth, so they're very, very rough guides. But what those air tests show you is how machines react to shapes, objects, contamination, all at the same time, and often the same object, just at a different angle. So it's amazing how the sounds your machine is going to make are going to change on the same target, just depending on how it's laying, what it might be laying near, is it broken, etc., etc. So I hope you found that useful and helpful. Until the next time, good luck, happy hunting, and we'll see you soon.